Ladies and gentlemen, it's a big, weird, wild world out there, folks, and here we stand. Al pie del cañón, ready for anything. I'm Rob, that's Dan, and you're listening to...
The ProBoh Show!
Good morning out there, friends. It's Tuesday. You know, Dan, Dan, I had one of those mornings where I woke up believing it was further on in the week than it was. I thought it was Wednesday today. How are you doing in there, sir?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, good. Almost time for everybody to get back and for Vaughan Radio to be back in full swing. But until then, as you know, myself, Fitz, and Alberto, we are holding the fort. And today we have an interesting unpopular opinion for you, as well as some 100 humans, a little bit of news. But first, I want to pay a little extra attention to my good friends in the audience. Let's see who's joining us right now. We have, oh my God, so we have Bridge, who was first in this morning. She said, "Good morning, my beautiful Bonnie Bouncy Bohemians, and Bonnie Bouncy Bob, and darling, dashing, dandy, Dan the radio man. I got here." Eugene is saying, "Hi guys." Eugene joining us all the way from Russia. "Hi guys. Doing my yoga exercises." Me too, Eugene. I'm doing the pose sitting fatty right now. It's a little like downward dog, but it's just basically a fat guy sat. I intend on holding this pose for an hour. Vero says, "Good morning, beautiful Bohemians around the universe and beyond. Geez, temperatures has fallen a lot in less than 24 hours. We have 18 degrees around here." And the prize for the most Spanish message ever received goes to Vero. How long, Dan? How long before people start complaining about the cold?
2 days.
2 days, for sure. If not today. If not, oh my God, it's hace frío, ¿no? Hace frío.
I already complained.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. I love Spain. You know, it's one of the little things I love about Spain. The predictable nature of the complaining about temperature. Bridge says, "I'm up and crushing." She's making breakfast for everyone. Gonna get myself some bread and cheese. What was that, Rob? A tongue break. I don't understand what she's talking about. But anyway, on that note, friends, if you want to be as cool, as sexy, as charming, as intellectual, as influential, as amazing as our wonderful live audience, you can join us on twitch.tv twitch.tv/professional bohemian. That's Bohemio Profesional, pero en inglés. And you can join us and have me be a conduit of your thoughts and ideas, just like Vero, Eugene, The Bridge, and also Mike, who says, "Good morning, dear Bohemians. The weather in Madrid is certainly destemplado." Is that a word that exists in English? That is when your body temperature, as I'm led to believe, Dan, that your body temperature doesn't match the outside temperature. Is that right? Is that what destemplado means?
I think so, yes.
I don't know if we have a way to say that in English. Hang on, let's see. Destemplado in English is, it says untemplated. No. Yeah. Under the weather, unpleasant, out of tune, angry, shivery are offered to us by the Cambridge Dictionary. Yeah, out of tune. Your body is out of tune with the outside weather. It's the most Spanish concept I've ever heard. You braked during your intro, Rob. Did I? I may have, actually. I got a little confused. It wasn't Dan's fault. It was mine.
No, it was mine.
Well, the light went on a second late, Dan. As a pro, I should have just jumped in there. My bad. Anyway, let's see what's coming up in today's show. You know what, Dan? I think I'm going to explain what the theme for this week is. As you know, the first time I asked you to vote on topics, we dug into capitalism, we've dug into mental health, and this week's topics are about socialism. Thanks, Dan. I think that was my fault. I was giving mixed signals. Okay, should we try that again? This week's topics are about socialism. So, yeah, why are we talking about socialism? Well, because it seems to be In the US, the Democratic Party seemed to be getting overtaken by the Democratic Socialist Movement. Even in the UK, the Labour government seems to be bandying about concepts like taxing the wealthy, the uber wealthy. So let's dig into this topic. We did cover capitalism, so it seems fair to dig into another political theory. Obviously, capitalism is an economic one, but still. So we're going to talk about, we're talking this week about socialism. So let's dig in. Today, we asked our 100 humans to name something that helps people escape poverty. Nombra algo que ayuda a la gente salir de la pobreza. And today's unpopular opinion is, most poverty is solved by economic growth, not redistribution. La mayor parte de la pobreza se soluciona con crecimiento económico, no con redistribución. Of course, talking about redistribution of wealth here. So it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. Let's see what people are saying. Chivalry is the best. Chivalry is the best translation, says the bridge, of destemplado. Yeah, I mean, we would say that. We would say chivalry, but it'd be referring to an illness, not because the temperature's not to our liking. Look, Spain, I love you. I love you. My chosen home. I love this country. As you, if you're a regular listener, know very well. Vero says, not complaining, I'm just giving information for our beloved, not Spanish listeners. Yeah, I'll be honest, it is such a nice reprieve, Dan. I slept like an angel last night. You know, I actually slept in this morning. I didn't do my usual regular pilgrimage to the office. Instead, I had to catch the bus because I slept in late. Womp, womp, womp. Anyway, should we get into some news? I think we probably should. Sometimes I give Dan the choice of what news we read. And, as we all know, Dan is allergic to AI news. So I do have some AI news, so unfortunately, I can't do that. I'll tell you what, Dan. I'll give you a reprieve, and we'll see if I can fill the whole new section with the new EU-wide product repair rules that came into force. Entran en vigor las nuevas normas de reparación de productos en toda la UE. Did you know about this? The repair rules, the EU regulations with regards to forcing companies to repair their products rather than you having to buy a replacement.
I think I heard about it.
Yeah, it's it comes into effect. I actually think this piece of news, if I'm not mistaken, is a couple of days old now. So as we're speaking, no, it was from yesterday. From the Irish agency RTE. New EU-wide right to repair rules have come into force, giving consumers stronger rights to repair certain household and electronic products instead of replacing them. The rules apply to items such as washing machines, vacuum cleaners, mobile phones and tablets, and are designed to reduce the estimated 35 million tons of waste caused by the premature disposal of consumer goods across the EU. Under the new regulations, consumers can ask manufacturers to repair products that are technically repairable under EU law, even after the seller's guarantee period has ended. I love this. And I think this is because I was raised in a household where my grandfather had his own, he had his little, for the want of a better word, his man cave. He had a shed in the backyard. Right, which, if you are not familiar with the concept of a shed, it's a little wooden house where that can be used for repairing things or whatever you choose to use it for. So he would regularly take our electro-domestic products into the shed and fix them. And that has rubbed off on me. I'm a big repairer myself when it comes to a computer breaking down, or if something breaks, before immediately replacing it, I will have a good attempt at trying to fix it first. I'm not the kind of person who looks forward to buying the latest gadget. So let's dig in a little further. So even after the guarantee period has ended, you can now ask manufacturers to repair products that are technically repairable. Repairs must be offered free of charge or at a reasonable price, completed within a reasonable time frame and supported by accessible information and reasonably priced spare parts. You know who I think this might hit pretty hard, Dan? Mobile phone manufacturers. Dude, remember when I broke my phone screen? It cost me, I think it was like nearly €200 to replace my mobile phone screen. I mean, come on. Are we crazy? I could have almost got a new mobile phone for that. Let's see. Shed is caseta de jardín. Oh, can we get Bridge and Nivelazo? Thank you, Bridge.
Vaya nivelazo.
Mike is saying, don't get too carried away. Next week will be over 35 degrees again. Oh. Let's continue. So it must be offered free of charge or at a reasonable price. In Ireland, repairmystuff.ie will be developed as the national repair platform, helping people find repair services while also supporting repair and refurbishment businesses. Yeah, I think it's the onus is on a lot of these small businesses to make these repairs affordable. Because that's the thing. Like when it came to replacing my mobile phone screen, I'm going to be honest with you, the price of the repair made me consider, should I just get a new mobile phone? Well, the Pixel 10's out. Should I just get a new mobile phone? So yeah, I think as long as prices are reasonable, this is probably a good idea, and especially when you consider 35 million tons of waste caused by the premature disposal of consumer goods. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Let's see. Is the AI news any chance about the World Robot Humanoid Games? If you're talking about the games in China, no, I wasn't going to talk about that. But if that is of interest to you, we'll knock out Dan like they used to do with B.A. Baracus in the A-Team, and we'll sneak it into tomorrow's show. But no big surprise, the robots outperformed the humans quite readily. Also, Artemisa's with us. She says, good morning, friends. How you doing, Artemisa? Welcome, welcome. But on that note, friends, let's go to today's unpopular opinion.
Unpopular opinion.
Okay, Dan, take 3. So, as you know, I asked you all to vote on this week's topics about socialism. I don't care what anyone says, Dan. I find it funny. All right, so today's topic, what did we do yesterday? Yesterday we did, let me see if I can find it. Sorry, we'll do a rundown later on in the week. Today's unpopular opinion is, most poverty is solved by economic growth, not by redistribution. The vote has changed again while we were talking. It was 60-something, now it's 50-something. But 50-something pointed where? So, Dan, most poverty, la mayor parte de la pobreza se soluciona con crecimiento económico, no con redistribución. It's solved by economic growth, not redistribution. How do you think they voted on Instagram?
I think they voted true.
They did vote true. 57% voted true. What do you think?
I personally don't know.
You don't know. No, look, Dan. That's a pretty fair point. And to be honest, there is so much nuance in this argument. It's hard to take any kind of stand on this. But given that the true argument won, one thing I will say, right? One thing I will say, economic growth has been happening pretty steadily since the Second World War. I mean, with some dips and troughs and valleys, of course. The dot-com bubble bursting was a big dip. The 2008 financial crisis was a big dip. But you can pretty much chart reliably the economic growth that's happened since the 40s, 50s. But doesn't it seem to be that poverty still remains the same? I think when we talk about economic growth being a cure for poverty, it's like prescribing, like, because antibiotics will cure 75% of people. It's like saying the cure for the other 25% is more antibiotics. Right? I might make the argument, in fact, this is a tough one here. I mean, I think growth might solve scarcity, but redistribution maybe solves exclusion. Economic growth is extremely good at reducing mass poverty, right? Let's say that. If an entire country is poor because it simply does not produce enough food, housing, medicine, infrastructure, or productive employment, redistribution of a pie that is very, very small isn't going to do very much. You need a bigger pie, right? So economic growth is necessary. But that's not what we see in countries like the US and in parts of Europe, right? The poverty that remains in rich countries becomes increasingly concentrated among people that are least able to participate in the growth in the first place, like people with disabilities, single parents, people with caring responsibilities, people living in economic abandoned regions, workers with little bargaining power, people without useful qualifications, long-term unemployed, families trapped by housing costs, and so on. Right? That creates the kind of poverty, creates a kind of poverty reduction paradox. So the more successful growth is at eliminating ordinary poverty, the poverty that remain consists of people whose growth is just bad at reaching, which makes redistribution such an important tool, right? Anyway, I'm interested in your ideas here. I really want you guys to contribute to this, because it is a topic, given that the current government in the US, in Spain, is a socialist government, and it's harangued by the press. I'm interested in your ideas here, because obviously no government is perfect, and I think we can definitely say the current government isn't perfect. What government is? So I'm not surprised by True winning the argument on Instagram. The World Bank's more recent work now explicitly warns against treating average income growth as sufficient. You see, its Poverty, Prosperity and Planet report says that countries can reach the same prosperity level through some combination of higher growth and lower inequality. I think, the argument isn't as simple as inequality bad, rich should pay more. Okay? I don't think it's that. I think what we can say is growth solves scarcity, creates a bigger pie, but redistribution solves exclusion. And we can't argue that people are simply excluded by the current system, and that massive amounts of wealth get trapped at the top. Billionaires have become immensely wealthy. Many billionaires have duplicated their wealth, triplicated. Look at Elon Musk. The people at the top are getting vastly richer, while the rest of us are slowly being choked out. Maybe the answer isn't redistribution. Maybe isn't even economic growth. But we're going to talk about it today and find out if we come to any kind of conclusion. So let's get into the pros and cons, shall we? The pro column did win narrowly. 57% said true today, although that is likely to shift on Instagram. So let's get into the pro column. Growth creates something to distribute. Redistribution can change who receives existing resources, but economic growth increases the total amount of goods, income, and opportunity available. Over the long run, societies escape widespread poverty primarily by becoming more productive, not by repeatedly rearranging a fixed economic pie. Which is true, right? If the pie is too small, there is nothing to redistribute. But of course, then we look at like oligarchic regimes where you have immensely rich people, a handful of rich people at the top, and then a society underneath them that is struggling in poverty. You might argue that that's not so dissimilar from what we see today, right? I mean, a larger pie doesn't guarantee that poorer people receive any meaningful slice at all. I mean, a lot of the richest cities in the US now have just these immense problems with poverty, like homelessness. Growth can coexist with severe deprivation. We are seeing it with our own eyes. And if wages stagnate, as they have, wealth concentrates, which we can see. And essential services can remain inaccessible. Anyway, let's continue. Productivity raises living standards sustainably. When workers and businesses become more productive, societies can produce more food, housing, medicine, transport, and technology with the same effort. That makes lasting improvements in living standards possible without requiring one group's consumption to fall every time another group rises. I would argue that productivity gains don't automatically flow to workers. You know? Again, I always draw this example, but supermarkets is pertinent to me because my mum works in a supermarket. The money saved through automatic checkouts hasn't gone to give my mum a pay rise. It's gone to the people at the top. Hasn't it? We've already looked at CEOs earning vastly, like 100 times more than in some cases than their lowest paid employees. I mean, the argument that the prosperity will trickle down, I think, in this economy has been shown not to be true, right? If bargaining power is weak, right, or ownership is concentrated, the additional value accumulates largely with those who are already wealthy. Did you ask yourself this morning, friends? Did you look in the mirror and ask yourself how much shareholder value you created today? That's what we're here for, isn't it? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to continue. Jobs provide more than transferred income. Economic growth can create employment, skills, career progression, independence, and social participation. Redistribution can relieve hardship, but a functioning labour market can give people a continuing way to improve their circumstances rather than remaining dependent on transfers. Look, again, employment doesn't guarantee escape from poverty. I think we're being pretty naive if we say that it does. Low wages, insecure hours, a disability, or if you've got responsibilities to being a caregiver for people, or even regional inequality. For example, in the UK, the North tends to be economically more poorer than the South. And, you know, regional inequality is a real thing. I mean, you know that here in Spain and all over the world, right? And it can leave people poor despite working. And again, I'm sure that's something that you've experienced in your own life. Let's very quickly go over some cons. Again, cons were on the losing side of this battle today. I think it was something like 43% of people in the con column, although that is likely to shift on Instagram. Poverty is relative to who receives the gains. An economy can grow rapidly while the poorest households improve very little. If most new income goes to owners of capital, highly skilled workers, or booming regions, headline growth can conceal persistent deprivation. Growth may take years to generate employment or higher incomes, while transfer tax credits, pensions, housing assistance, and public services can reduce hardship now. Yeah. I mean, relying on the trickle down of those riches to happen immediately, I mean, it simply won't, will it? Whereas, you know, tax credits, pensions, housing assistance, that happens immediately. For someone who can't afford food or heating, waiting for future productivity gains is, quite frankly, not an adequate strategy, is it? Markets do not reward need. Economic systems generally allocate income according to ownership, scarcity, bargaining power, and market demand, not according to who needs the resources. Children, disabled people, carers, others outside of conventional employment may remain poor even in highly productive economies. And I think we'll leave off with this fourth point here. Public services themselves are themselves redistributive. Access to education, healthcare, sanitation, transport, and social insurance can matter as much as cash income in determining whether someone lives in poverty. These systems deliberately pool resources and redistribute access across the population. I think we talk about redistribution and we see it as an ugly word, but my argument is redistribution goes towards helping create more economic growth. If you give people access to better education, better access to mobility, better help in caring, it gives opportunities to those at the poorer end of the spectrum to create more economic growth. Right? Or wrong? I don't know. That's why I'm asking you, friends. So today's unpopular opinion is that most poverty is solved by economic growth, not redistribution. La mayor parte de la pobreza se soluciona con crecimiento económico, no con redistribución. Now, redistribution. Woof, that's a hard word. All right, guys, go to a commercial break. I'll see you in a few minutes. Hey, guys, if you'd like to support the show, you can do so on Patreon. That's patreon.com/professional bohemian. There you'll find VODs of the episodes as they are recorded live, blogs, vlogs, and behind-the-scenes content. If you'd like to watch the show live, you can do so on twitch.tv/professional bohemian, and you can participate in the polls we use in the show on Instagram @professional bohemian or Twitter @ProBoh, PROBOH. Okay, on with the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. You're joining us live at 9 a.m. Central European Time. It is, of course, Dan and I live on the ProBoh Show. How are you doing out there? Well, let's see if he's paying attention. Of course, this week, we're talking about socialism. All right, yeah. However, in the news, we had something really not related at all. Or perhaps in some kind of way, right? The EU new rules in the EU about the right to repair rules, where you can where repairs must be offered free of charge or at a reasonable price and completed within a reasonable time frame. A new EU-wide right to repair rules have come into force, affecting certain household electronic products like, phones, tablets, or electrodomésticos, as you call them here, washing machines, vacuum cleaners, things like that. Just to cut down some 35 million tons of waste caused by the premature disposal of consumer goods across the EU. Yeah. Do we really need to replace it, or can we repair it? That's a question we must ask ourselves, right? I mean, of course, you don't have to, but I think it behooves us to create a little less waste, leave the planet better than we found it, right? Anyway, on that note, then we moved on to today's unpopular opinion, kind of a controversial one, I think. Most poverty is solved by economic growth, not redistribution. La mayor parte de la pobreza se soluciona con crecimiento económico, no con redistribución. Oof. Am I pronouncing that correctly, Dan?
Redistribución.
Redistribución. Oof. All right, we're getting there. Look, I've only been here 20 years. Give me a break. Some figures. I mean, global income inequality remains pretty extreme. Richest 10% of people earning more than half of the global income. The poorest 50% earns less than 10%. Let's see, regions. Europe is is happily the most equal region in the globe. Top 10% capture about 36% of national income. It's still not a very equally shared pie, is it? But still not as bad as places like, I don't know, the Middle East or Latin America. Top 10% capture about 55% of the income there. And then places like Sub-Saharan Africa, it combines both low average regional income with very high internal inequality, driven heavily by nations like South Africa. It's a shame Con's not here to opine on this, really. Con, of course, a contributor to the show who joins us from South Africa regularly. So it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, I don't want to make this debate about, inequality is bad and rich people should pay more. I don't want to make it about that because, look, most poverty, there is an argument to be made that most poverty is solved by economic growth, isn't it? I mean, it lifted nations out of poverty. That extreme growth we saw in the 50s and 60s lifted nations out of poverty after the war. Right? But there is a persistent poverty that is happening that is only being exacerbated right now, and it needs to be addressed, I think. Right? It needs to be addressed. What we can't say is, right, so antibiotics have cured this 80% of people, but there are 20% it's not curing. Give them more antibiotics. It's clearly not working, is it? It's clearly not working. So let's dig in. Let's look at the debate. Is poverty the primary problem of scarcity, or is it distribution? Is it that there's not enough money to go around? Okay, is it scarcity? I would argue there's enough money to go around. Elon Musk he was for a time a trillionaire. A trillionaire. We find it hard to fit that number in our head. I think if we go beyond 1 million, it's impossible for us to really compute. He's a trillionaire. And most of us have to ask the question here in Spain, should I put my air conditioning on? Because, my God, my electricity bill is going to be exorbitant. He's a trillionaire. More wealth than most nations. So is it a distribution problem in that case? Where almost everyone has very little, scarcity is clearly central, right? In places where the pie isn't big enough to share around. That's clearly the problem is scarcity, right? There simply is not enough goods, services, infrastructure, or productive opportunities to give everyone a high standard of living. And in that context, redistribution can rearrange poverty rather than eliminate it. But as societies become richer, the argument has to change, doesn't it? Once there is enough aggregate wealth to prevent severe deprivation, persistent poverty becomes increasingly difficult to explain through scarcity. And it becomes easier to explain through greed. The question shifts from can society afford to prevent this to why are some people still excluded from what society can afford? And there's also a feedback loop between the two, isn't there? Growth can finance redistribution, and redistribution can improve health, education, stability, opportunities in ways that contribute to further growth. I think the problem with arguments like this one, with debates like this one, as they're often held, is that treating them as binary opposites, as they often are, misses how often each makes the other more effective. And in this polarized political world, we start to hear those kind of arguments. And we're having one right now. But they're not opposites. They're not opposites. They are two sides of the same coin. I think the deepest disagreement is probably more about sequencing and emphasis. I think one side of this argument fears trying to divide wealth before creating enough of it. Right, but I would argue most countries in Europe are rich enough to deal with this. Then the other side fears assuming that creating wealth will somehow distribute by itself, and it's been shown not to. Anyway, so let's get into some of your ideas, shall we? I think I've spoken long enough. You're probably sick of my stupid voice right now. Let's see what you guys are saying. Where are we? Where did we leave off? Don't get too carried away. And Artemisa joining us. Vero says false. If everyone earned the same amount of money, there wouldn't be any poverty. The problem is that in today's society, the world's richest 1% holds a huge share of global wealth. As I see it, the world is badly built since day one. I think, look, yeah, I mean, look, it's hard to argue that. I mean, the facts bear that out. But, I mean, economic growth is extremely effective at wiping out most poverty. I mean, it has here in the West. But we have a persistent poverty that remains. And we've seen that wealth is distributed unequally to the people at the top, leaving a lot of communities and a lot of people, you know, out in the cold. Carmen's with us. Good morning, Bohemians. How you doing, Carmen? Welcome. Mike says, in theory, Spain is Europe's biggest growing economy. Yeah, you wouldn't think it living here, but it's true, it is. But that doesn't mean there is less poverty, even if the so-called socialist if we have a so-called socialist government. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I would question any government. Like, I don't want to get into the weeds. Okay, let's talk about the UK, where practically every prime minister have come from one of the same 4 schools. Or the US, where, you know, the same can be said. You know, there is a political class, isn't there? You know, and the labelling is often different, but are they really? Anyway, let's move on. Eugene says, true, but I wouldn't turn down some extra money from billionaires. Yeah, no, me neither. Artemisa, I don't really know how to choose who gets the gift. Twitch takes control. Okay, got you. Artemisa kindly gifted a sub to the channel to our dear Ravdos. Carmen says, give us the fish or give us the rod. Yeah, there's the big argument, isn't it? I think the fear is handouts. But look, if we improve healthcare, if we improve infrastructure, if we improve, mobility, if we improve education, all these social actions will create more growth. I mean, I hate that you watch these debates on this issue and redistribution and economic growth are treated like two binary opposites, and they're really not. I mean, you might argue in this really brilliant example that Carmen's given us, give us the fish or give us the rod. You give someone the fish so they can learn how to fish, right? So they have the time and space to learn how to fish for themselves. I don't know. It is a tough one today. It is a tough one. Should we see what people said on Instagram? I did get a few interesting messages. Benoit says, I mostly agree. Making the economic pie bigger has probably lifted more people out of poverty than arguing over how to divide the existing one. Yeah, it's hard. Look, being pragmatic, right? Economic growth has lifted a whole hell of a lot of people out of poverty. Right. I know I am constantly accused of being a socialist, but the fact of the matter is economic growth is what has lifted the most people out of poverty historically. But then we get to wealthy nations where the pie is big enough to redistribute and we see poverty, right? Unequal access. And that is a problem, isn't it? Rebecca says, growth doesn't guarantee the poorest benefit. An economy can get richer while housing, healthcare and basic necessities remain unaffordable for millions. And again, a good example of that is our friends in the US, right? One of the world's richest regions. Healthcare, incredibly hard to access. I mean, here in Europe, I think our main problem right now is housing, right? Housing crisis that's happening. Andre says, you need both. Growth creates more wealth, but redistribution determines how much of that prosperity actually reaches people at the bottom. Can we get a nivelazo, please, for Andre, offering a very balanced opinion there?
Vaya nivelazo.
Thank you, dude. Yeah. I mean, what part of the cycle is the country you live in on? Do you need a bigger pie? How many billionaires are currently living in where you are? You can check that online. That information's there. Do you really? Who needs? Unless you're planning to take over the world in some Superman villainesque scheme, why do you need $1 billion? A billion euros, dollars, rubles, whatever the hell it is. Oh, wow. I love this. Carmen, give us the fish or give us a rod. And Mike says, yeah, but who owns the pond? Oof, I love that. Love that. Can we get ProBoh approved, please?
ProBoh approved.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're different arguments depending on where we're talking about, where the argument itself is taking place. And I think that kind of nuance is missed, right? Because it's true. If a nation is poor, you know, it doesn't have high productivity, its GDP is tiny, and there is not enough to go around. That is a problem of economic growth. But when there is enough riches to go around, and it seems to be flowing upriver rather than down, then there is a different argument that needs to take place, I think, and it's not an argument that a lot of the wealthiest seem to want to have. And of course, you look in the media globally, not just here in Spain, not just in the US, not just in the UK. You look at the media and it's like, oh, no, that sounds like, Dan, that sounds like socialism. Oh, Dan. Oh, I was pointing. That sounds like socialism. Of course, because a lot of the media companies themselves owned by massive corporations or wealthy single owners. In the case of companies like Fox, etc. So yeah, it is a tough one, isn't it? It is a tough one. I mean, because the nuance of regional inequality, not just inequality among people, regional inequality, like the north of England, for example, as compared to the south, is quite often lost. Should we get to the results of the poll? It's an interesting result today. Again, it was 57%. I don't know if that's changed since we've been talking. It has changed. It's 60% true on Instagram. So let's see how you guys voted. All right. So I made the statement that most poverty is solved by economic growth, not redistribution. Most poverty is solved by economic growth, not redistribution. La mayor parte de la pobreza se soluciona con crecimiento económico, no con redistribución. And you guys said 67% false. Love it. Love it. I love it, and I'm very glad this didn't devolve into rich people bad, because that's not a productive kind of argument, is it? I would argue the least productive way to talk about this subject, sadly, is the way we have, is to treat them as two separate sides of an argument, and they're really not. Redistribution should go hand in hand into creating growth. And growth should be used to help redistribution happen. But sadly, that economic engine seems to have broken down somewhere. Economic growth is probably the most powerful tool ever discovered for escaping mass poverty. There, I'll say it. And for those of you who consistently accuse me of being a socialist, economic growth is the most powerful tool ever discovered for escaping mass poverty, but it's not a delivery system. Growth determines how much a society has, right? But distribution determines who can actually use it. In poor societies, the central problem is often creating more. In rich societies, though, persistent poverty increasingly becomes a question of why existing prosperity is failing to reach particular people. As you know, I think Mike put it pretty eloquently. You know, Spain is one of the fastest growing economies in the EU, yet it seems to be the poor are getting poorer, and there's a problem there, isn't there? Rob for prez. That would be an exceptionally bad idea. All right, Dan's dexterously deficient today, says the bridge. He's not, bless him. He wasn't looking at the camera, that's all. All right, so let's go to all those. Oh my God, Look at me, I'm getting lost. All those friends, all those things we've been talking about, those are just opinions. And as Grandpa Bo would say, opinions, they're like buttholes. Everyone has one. They all stink, including mine. Let's move on to today's 100 Humans. Oh my God, it was a long walk to work today across snow-capped mountains and through river valleys. And on that walk, I encountered 100 humans and I asked them all a question. Today's question was, name something that helps people escape poverty. Nombra algo que ayuda a la gente salir de la pobreza. I asked them that question. They gave me their answers. And your job in the audience is to identify those answers. So let's get into it, shall we? Nombra algo que ayuda a la gente salir de la pobreza. Name something that helps people escape from poverty. Big thank you to Juan Areo, Pedro, Ana, Fenokiti, Africa, Emily, Ivan Samroff, Athul Dan, Ivan GP, and many, many others. Thank you. Name something that helps people escape from poverty. Dan?
Money.
There.
I think it's obvious.
You mean saving it, right? Ahorrar. Yeah, okay. That's what he meant. He said money, but Dan and I have a special connection. I know where he's going with these arguments. Is saving money there? Ahorrar dinero. Dan. Yes, it is. Well done. Well, I see. It's so salient. He understands. Saving money is there. It's the sixth most popular answer, with 4 of 100 humans saying saving money helps people escape poverty. You might argue how the hell they're going to save money when they're poor, but there you go. I do not control the 100 humans. Let's see what people are saying. A lottery, says Eugene. Yeah, that's my retirement plan, Dan. Is one day winning the lottery. Is lottery there? No, it's not. Wah, wah, wah. Mike. Mike says education, educación. Is education there? Something that helps people escape poverty, education. Yes, it is. Well done. That was, at least for me, what helped me jump out of the track I was on and into a better life. It was education. Well done. 43 of 100 humans, and it's the number one answer. Whoa! Being an entrepreneur, says Vero. So starting a business. Crear un negocio. Is starting a business there? Yes, it is. Well done. 3 of 100 humans said starting a business. Crear un negocio. It's the 7th most popular answer. Again, you might argue, if you're poor, how are you going to start a business? You know? Well, I've done a whole podcast on this that no one's ever heard before. Hopefully one day soon you will. Where are we? Public transport, says BB. That will help you physically escape poverty. As if it was chasing you. Is public transport there? No, it's not. Good answer, but no, it's not. Oh, wow. Migration, says Mike. Great answer. Is migration there? No, it's not. Wow. Good answer. Mike is on fire, by the way, today. Working. Just working, says Eugene. A good job, right? To have a good job. Buen trabajo. Is it there? Yes, it is. Well done. Who's to say what's good, though? You know? If you work in finance, it's a well-paid job. Is it better, morally speaking, than a nurse or a teacher? Let's see. Migration, working, gambling. Eugene says gambling. It's not there, Eugene. Public health and education. Public health and education. Well, we had education, didn't we? That was there. That was the number one answer from Carmen. Social network, says BB. It's not there. Inheritance, says Mike. It's not there either. Spending less than you earn, which is saving, which was there. Bridge. Let's have a collective. Wap, wap, wap. Let's get into some of our answers on Instagram. Juan Areo also said to emigrate, migration as a way to escape poverty. Inheritance, which was a good answer, but yeah, but not there. So it's kind of related to one of the answers that is. Work, education. Work says Juan Areo. Pedro, education. Feno Kitty said the same, as did Emily. Ivan Samarov said lottery. Athol Dan, education. Work. Mia here says training, job training. Well, she says job training or reskilling. Is job training there? Yes, it is. Well done. 6 of 100 humans says job training. Raj says, well, he has a long list, but he says government assistance, which can come as all sorts of things, can't it? From job training, retraining, reskilling, all the way to financial help. Is government assistance there? You know, health, things like that. Yes, it is. Well done. Where was that? Ayuda del gobierno. It's there. It's third most popular answer with 7 of 100 humans. There is one you are yet to get. Africa says ChatGPT with a good prompt on how to escape poverty. Excuse me, ChatGPT. How do I not be poor? Having Rob as a president, says Mike. I'm not sure. I'd probably get shot within my first weeks. Finding treasure, says Eugene. Communications, says BB. See, these some great answers. If I only knew I would be in the Bahamas today. Yeah, same. Married to a rich person, says Atami. So you guys are on fire. Guys, you didn't do it today, but let's go through the list. You only missed one. I asked 100 humans to name something that helps people escape poverty. Nombra algo que ayuda a la gente salir de la pobreza. In position number 7, we had starting a business, crear un negocio. In position number 6, we had saving money, ahorrar dinero. In position number 5, family support, apoyo familiar, which I don't think I read in the chat or on Instagram. If you did say it, I didn't. To be fair, do much scrolling on Instagram, so I'm sorry. But yeah, you missed that one. In position number 4, job training, formación laboral. In position number 3, government assistance. In position number 2, with 29 of 100 humans, a good job, buen trabajo. And finally, in position number 1, with 43 of 100 humans, we had education. Well done. All sorts of great answers. Marrying someone rich is after me. I love that. Finding treasure. All right, friends. Look, that's all we've got time for today. I'll be back again tomorrow, obviously, with Dan the radio man. So many things he could have been doing. Instead of doing those things, he took the time to spend some time with us, and it means the world. See you next time.